Ravenwood was a quaint, isolated village, nestled deep within the heart of an ancient forest. Its residents, few in number, lived simple lives, untouched by the chaos of the outside world. However, the forest that surrounded Ravenwood was no ordinary forest. It was dense, its towering trees and twisted branches creating a labyrinthine canopy that kept the village in perpetual twilight, even on the brightest days. The villagers spoke in hushed tones of the shadows that lived within the woods, but such stories were dismissed as mere folklore by most. Samantha Greer, a recent graduate and an aspiring journalist, arrived in Ravenwood to investigate the strange disappearances that had plagued the village for decades. She was intrigued by the mystery and saw it as an opportunity to make her mark in the world of journalism. Her arrival was met with wary glances and whispered warnings. The villagers were reluctant to speak of the disappearances, let alone the forest. Determined to uncover the truth, Samantha rented a small cottage at the edge of the village, closest to the forest. She spent her days interviewing the locals, gathering what little information they were willing to share. Most claimed to know nothing, but a few elderly residents spoke of dark entities that lurked within the woods, preying on those who ventured too close. One evening, after a particularly unfruitful day of interviews, Samantha decided to explore the forest herself. Armed with a flashlight and her notebook, she set off at dusk, the villagers' warnings echoing in her mind. The deeper she ventured into the forest, the darker it became. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence settled around her, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. As she walked, Samantha noticed strange carvings on the trees, symbols she couldn't decipher. Her curiosity piqued. She documented them in her notebook. Suddenly, she felt a chill run down her spine. She turned around, her flashlight beam cutting through the darkness, but saw nothing. The feeling of being watched was overwhelming, but she pressed on. Hours passed, and Samantha realized she was hopelessly lost. Her flashlight flickered, threatening to plunge her into complete darkness. She quickened her pace, hoping to find her way back, when she stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood an ancient, decrepit cabin, its windows shattered and its door hanging ajar. Desperate for shelter, Samantha entered the cabin. The air inside was musty, filled with the scent of decay. She shone her flashlight around, revealing broken furniture and tattered drapes. On the floor, she saw something that made her blood run cold, a trail of dried blood leading to a trapdoor. Despite her fear, Samantha's journalistic instincts kicked in. She opened the trapdoor and descended a rickety ladder into a dark cellar. The smell of damp earth and rot was overpowering. As she reached the bottom, her flashlight revealed a sight that would haunt her forever. The cellar was filled with bones, some ancient and some disturbingly fresh. Samantha's heart pounded in her chest as she realized the true extent of the forest's horrors. She turned to leave, but a figure emerged from the shadows. A gaunt, skeletal man with hollow eyes and a sinister smile. "Welcome," he rasped, his voice like nails on a chalkboard. "You're just in time for the feast." Samantha tried to scream, but no sound escaped her lips. The man advanced, and she felt a paralyzing cold grip her body. Her flashlight flickered and died, plunging her into darkness. The last thing she saw before everything went black was the man's malevolent grin. Days later, the villagers found Samantha's abandoned cottage, her belongings untouched. The forest had claimed another victim, and her disappearance became another whispered legend in Ravenwood. The shadows of the forest remained, ever hungry, ever watching, waiting for their next prey.